Okay, I have been making beef tenderloin, whole roasted beef tenderloin for well over a decade. And I've actually never done a video on how you trim your whole beef tenderloin. People are so intimidated by it, and I promise you it is not difficult whatsoever. Once you do it a couple of times, you'll be a pro. Let me show you how I do it. Okay, you're gonna need a few things, starting with a really great big plastic cutting board. I got mine at Sam's Club, and to keep it from rolling around your countertop, you're just gonna take some damp paper towel, lay it down, place your cutting board on top, and it won't go anywhere. You're gonna need a giant stack of paper towels and a really sharp knife, and you will be set to go. Of course, you need some scissors to open the package, but y'all, the paper towels are absolutely clutch. You're going to open your whole beef tenderloin. This part is quite disgusting. I'm just going to go out on a limb and tell you, get ready. Grin and bear it. You can do it. You're a big girl, big boy. Let's do this. Open her up, peel back all of that plastic lining, and then I like to take paper towels immediately and pat it dry from the get-go. And this just helps so that when you pick it up and place it onto your cutting board, it's not completely soaked in whatever that is there. I don't really want to say it on the internet. It's just nasty, y'all. So place it on your plastic cutting board, and you're just going to kind of pat it off, take a look at everything, make sure nothing's out of the ordinary. And then here's where we just get to ripping things off. There are large pieces of fat, and what I am taking off right now is called the chain. And for most of it, you'll be able to separate it with just your hands and not use a knife. It just comes apart really, really easily. And I love to use this portion for beef stew or beef tips using a beef tenderloin, and it's so good. That recipe is linked in the caption below. Here I am just trimming more fat off of this whole beef tenderloin. The point of buying the whole beef tenderloin is so that you can economically feed your people filet mignon. Filet mignon is super expensive, but it is the goat of steaks for some people. I personally like to whole roast the chateaubriand portion of the beef tenderloin and serve it to my people. It's like my family's favorite recipe. And years and years and years ago, shout out to Bobby Flay. He had a show where he showed how to break down a whole tenderloin. I cannot find that video anywhere. And I watched that video once, did it myself, and it's so amazing that you can do this at home for yourself. And this makes this such an economical cut of beef. Yes, it's expensive, of course, but you're going to end up with 3 or 4 portions that then you can serve to your family. So that nasty piece right there in the right hand corner, that's the beef chain. That's what we're going to use for beef stew, beef bourguignon, beef tips. The piece that I'm working on right now is called the heel. And if you've been in a restaurant and ordered beef medallions, they've most likely come from this portion of the whole beef tenderloin. It eats just like the chateaubriand cut of beef tenderloin, which is that very center portion where you get the most perfect, 2-3 inch cuts of filet mignon that you get from your butcher. And here I am just taking the knife and hacking away at it. Did I leave a little bit on there? Yep, but guess what? I'm going to go in and peel that off, and I will put that into the portion with the beef chain. And I do like to cut those pieces up and get some of the fat off of there and portion it out into little bite-sized pieces. I've actually never tried grilling those pieces, and I really should. Okay, all of this is called silver skin, and you want to take that off of there. And this is probably maybe the hardest part of the whole thing. It's going to look really easy. When you do it the first time, you're probably going to take a little bit more off of the meat than you want to. So here we have another piece of the chain. Just keep peeling things off. If something is sticking off of the tenderloin, just start peeling it, and if it comes off, great. And if you need to use your knife, great. That's why a sharp chef's knife comes in so handy for this process. You could also use a utility knife, like one of those boning knives that you might use, like that has a long skinny portion. Okay, here we are going to take that silver skin off. You see, you just nick a little bit, peel it up, and then run your knife back and forth in a really gentle gliding motion. That for me took off a little bit too much meat. This next part, you'll see I really focused in and tried not to get as much meat. If you do, it's not the end of the world, y'all. It's okay. If you just pull it tight and then run your knife, you can see that silver skin is all there and the meat is left behind. You do this over and over until all this portion is off. Now, you may be wondering, what is silver skin and why do we take it off of there? If you have ever had a piece of filet mignon or a whole beef tenderloin that's been tied where the heel is still attached, you will most likely be eating silver skin. And that's the stuff that when you eat it, it's kind of gross and you can't really chew it. And you're looking around trying to figure out, like, how are you going to get this out of your mouth? Yeah, that's why I take the heel off of there and I don't tie my whole beef tenderloin with butcher's twine. That's just, it's so much work for my people to eat. Here I am, I'm going to put here I am, I say that a lot in this video. I took the smaller end, the little tapered end off, and then I'm going to cut 2 steaks from that to freeze for myself. And the other portion I am going to whole roast, which I will show you in another video. And that is my family's absolute favorite recipe. And it's so embarrassing that it's even a recipe because it is so dang easy, y'all. This is the hardest part of serving a beef tenderloin to your friends and family. If you are going to make Gordon Ramsay's Beef Wellington, this is what you're going to use. This is the middle part. So why not go ahead and purchase your whole beef tenderloin? I buy mine at Sam's Club. For me, they have the best prices. That's me, like, sort of portioning out what steaks would look like if I had that. I think there was 10 pieces there. Between 5 of us, we did absolutely devour this entire thing because it kind of shrinks up when you do cook it. And I'm just going to lay out all the pieces so that you can see how much comes from this whole beef tenderloin. And the waste is really not really there. When you cut up the chain, you do end up with a lot of fat. And if you are someone who's into it, you could definitely render that down and make your own beef tallow. I've never done that. That's just out of my wheelhouse. But here are all the pieces. You can see there is filet mignon, the tapered end, the chain, the heel, and several little pieces that I am going to use. And I just put them into Ziploc baggies, label it really well, and freeze them into portions. That's the tapered end. That's the piece I served to my friends the next day. Beef stew pieces, or little beef pieces, and then 2 filet mignons and one that I'm going to do something really fun with. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if it was.